This video was brought to you by Surfshark VPN. As Rockwell once said, I always feel like somebody's watching me, and I got no privacy. Oh, it's true, the internet is full of surveillance, web limitation, and data mining happening right under your nose, but thankfully with Surfshark VPN you do have an easy one-for-all solution that I don't think would solve the random naked white dude hanging in your backyard. Across many different products, Windows, Android, or Apple, with a click of a button, Surfshark turns you into an anonymous and hard-to-track user, giving you more freedom on the internet, keeps you away from prying eyes, and prevents companies from doing things like geo-blocking, where video and streaming services limit your library simply because of where you live. But with Surfshark, that's all a non-issue. You start up their service, you choose your location, you refresh the page, and there you go, your favorite show that you couldn't watch before, something with less Jerry curls preferably. My god, my own head feels greasy looking at all that hair. And those that use the link in the description below and enter the special code Johnny will not only get 83% off their initial order, but the next 3 months are also completely free. Thanks to Surfshark for the sponsor, and thank you for helping support this channel as always. Now let's continue on with the show. Alright, so time to wrap up the mainline Resident Evil series today, and it's been one hell of a ride. I definitely did have to split it up in a couple of years because I think I might have gotten some burnout by the time I got to the end of this series, so I hope it's been enjoyable for you as it has been for me, or depends on the game in question, but yeah, I think I've mostly enjoyed myself for this one, and I guess next time we meet up with this series, we'll be doing all the spin-offs and all that. But listen to me, I'm acting as if I'm going to wrap up the video now. We've got to get this video started. So for today, we have the 8th, oh yeah, actually, it's 10th main game, 10th, yeah, it's the 10th, right? God, I hate math. Resident Evil Village, a surprise announcement from the PlayStation 5 reveal back in 2020. And what a time, yeah? The whole world was shut in because of a virus, and here's Resident Evil going like, see, this is why you wear a fucking mask. A bold move, it seemed like, but not as bold as the trailer making it look like series veteran Chris Redfield was turning to the dark side. He just fucking shot Ethan's wife in the face, man. Is he finally fed up with all this shit? But I was like, yeah, alright, as I'm sure everyone else was. Things are never as they seem. But we have to wait until the game came out proper in 2021 to finally get our hands on it. In the meantime, everyone can drool over one of the new baddies of Resident Evil 8, Lady Demetresque. Oh my god, she was everywhere. Let it be known that if you want the fans to do the marketing for you, you just make your next nemesis-like creature a 9-foot-tall woman. She was pretty visually striking, wasn't she? But I also got caught up in the promotional artwork with the half-wolf, half-Chris face. I was like, dude, that's the Sonic Unleashed promo, man. Is Roger Craig Smith coming back to voice Chris again? Resident Evil 7 took the series back to its foundation with its smaller scale and re-emphasis on horror, receiving great reception from Resident Evil and horror fans alike. After this, it was decided that okay, we have a new foundation, let's make a variation that could reach a wider audience. Just as Resident Evil 7 took tons of notes from the classic series, Village would take notes from the game that launched the series into the stratosphere, Resident Evil 4, and you can see that everywhere you look in this game. The Eastern European setting, a village of infected people, a gargantuan castle filled with dread, a factory run by Magneto of the X-Men. Okay, wait, that last one is... what the hell? I can't speak for others, but there was something inside me that was going, oof, one game later and they're already slowly getting back into more action. Also werewolves? We're doing werewolves now? And vampires. RE7 had the creature of the Black Lagoon. This game has wolfmen and vampires. You can argue Nemesis and the other tyrants were basically Frankenstein's creature. Pretty soon the future games are going to cover the rest of the classic 50s horror tropes. The next game is going to have mummies, you mark my words. But I can't lie, the instant I heard they were bringing back the merchant and the attaché case for item management, I'm not kidding, that convinced me, as stupid as it sounds, this game was going to be great. But did it end up being so? I'm going to give this one a spoiler warning since it is the most recent game in the series, despite it being almost a year since it initially released. So there's a nice little time skip if you want to just skip ahead to me talking about the gameplay. But without further ado, this is Resident Evil 8. Set 3 years after the events of Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8 places us back in control of Ethan Winters and family, now relocated to a new home in Eastern Europe thanks to the BSAA wanting to keep their identities hidden after the events in Louisiana. Since then, Ethan's received some military training and a personality worth a damn, Mia's face doesn't look so bug-eyed anymore, and both have added a new addition to their household, their baby Rose. Good times are never meant to last though, as Mia is shockingly gunned down by Chris and his squad before the two can settle down and eat dinner. Could have just said Mia's cooking sucked through through Yelp, Chris. Also glad to see those steroid injections have paid off since last game. Now that's the Chris Redfield I like to see. Wondering what the fuck is going on, Ethan demands answers from Chris, with him responding to Ethan like a disobedient dog.
Ethan, no.
Okay then. Ethan is knocked unconscious, with him and Rose being taken away, but Ethan eventually wakes to find himself stranded in the cold next to a toppled truck and some corpses belonging to Chris's squad. Some things never change. Having no idea what to make of this, and with his baby Rose missing, Ethan attempts to take shelter at a nearby village, but this place has its own problems. Werewolves. Okay, they're actually regular people infected with a combination of the mold from last game and the new parasite flavor of the week, the Cadeau. Either way, very aggressive, very dangerous, they're on horseback, and they take no time making Ethan shit his pants, especially the one with the giant hammer that looks like Hagrid from Harry Potter. What has science done? Thankfully, a nearby church bell goes off, sending the monsters away to pray to Lord Sadler, Mother Miranda. Speaking of, thanks to this creepy old lady wandering nearby, that's who Ethan discovers is the one who's taken his child away. The source of the lichens, that's the name of the werewolf people, the one who created the mold in the first place thanks to her discovering this megamycete years and years ago. So she's also sort of responsible for the Baker incident too, especially when you learn it was her that gave the connections to things necessary to create Evelyn in a failed attempt at recreating her dead daughter. And in some form of, unnecessary continuity, well then I look at it that way, Miranda would also be Spencer's inspiration to form the Umbrella Corporation years later, so yeah, that's neat, I guess. They're just trying to tie everything together with this game, huh? But with nothing but the scraps on his back and about 8 fingers left, Ethan sets off to try and find his daughter, eventually getting captured by Mother Miranda herself, along with her 4 lords, the tall and voluptuous Lady Demetresque, the evil ventriloquist Donna Beneviento, Sad Man Aquaman Salvatore Moreau, and Carl I'm really just fucking Magneto Heisenberg, with their faces on the maps that you're given later. It looks like Resident Evil is now giving us Mega Man villains. But Ethan manages to escape their captivity for the time, with the assistance of the local merchant, the Duke, giving Ethan the means to purchase weapons and other upgrades. Ethan makes his way to Castle Demetresque to rescue Rose, whereupon managing to deliver the killing blow to Lady D, who's a dragon now I might add, Ethan discovers a mysterious flask the Duke informs the tired dad contains remnants of his daughter Rose. So Mother Miranda has split Rose into 4 separate flasks, giving each of her 4 lords one to protect until it's time for the ceremony, where Mother Miranda plans on using Rose as a vessel to bring back her long-deceased daughter Eva. And before you go thinking, oh shit, they just killed the baby, hold your horses, because get this shit. Though Rose is the natural child of Ethan and Mia, her genetics were enhanced because of Mia's previous history with the mold in RE7 and because Ethan himself is mold people. In the game's biggest twist, it turns out Ethan died in the beginning of RE7 after being ambushed by Jack Baker, and has since remained undead because of the mold he was infected with soon after. Mia knew of this for the record, and she was still cool with them having a baby later. Can you imagine having a significant other going, my husband's dead? That's hot. Mia's a freak. Now, if you played Resident Evil 7, you always figured Ethan was at least infected because of the numerous injuries he managed to recover from, and not to mention the Eve hallucinations. The game clearly states in the log files, if you see her, it means you're infected. So yeah, that's not shocking to see that he had mold, but to be dead this entire time, now that I didn't expect. But it's mainly a means to justify Rose's special nature and how Ethan can repeatedly recover from all the shit that happens to him in this game, mainly on his hand. Oh my god, his hands get bullied so hard in this game. What did they do to deserve this treatment? A walking corpse or not, it doesn't stop Ethan from being father of the goddamn century, traveling across the area and taking on the other 4 lords, slowly collecting more flasks of his lost and likely confused child. A few times he even manages to regroup with Chris, who finally elaborates that the Mia that's been with him for a bit has been Mother Miranda in disguise, wanting to get closer to Ethan so that she can collect Rose. Why didn't Chris just tell Ethan his plan?
Shut up!
In all seriousness, Chris didn't know if Ethan was already under Mother Miranda's control, so he didn't want to risk it, but still, Chris kinda comes off as a stubborn dumbass in this game, trying so hard to make sure everything's under his control, but he's clearly overdoing it, something his team rightfully calls him out for late in the game. I think it should have been written a bit better so that it's not so logically strained. He also picked up his smoking habit again since RE1, so maybe the years are starting to take their toll. Through a wicked dollhouse with a mutant baby that has a vagina for a mouth, a flooded reservoir with a pathetic fish man that honestly I pity more than anything else. And finally Heisenberg with his fucking Michael Bay Transformers cosplay. Ethan collects all the flasks and takes the fight to Mother Miranda, who's about to complete the ceremony, reconstructing Rose in time for the good guy to win conveniently enough. She ends up going full Final Fantasy or Dark Souls, transforming into a monstrosity that, like many other Resident Evil classic villains, eventually succumbs to the power of the Second Amendment. Ethan, however, begins crumbling away since previous injuries, including having his fucking heart ripped out of him earlier, is beginning to catch up, giving Rose to Chris to deliver to Mia, who turned out to be captured by Mother Miranda some time ago and is somehow still alive because of reasons. Ethan stays behind to detonate the explosives Chris attached to the Megamycete he and his team found in an earlier raid. Ethan sacrifices himself to ensure the mold will never affect anyone ever again, leaving Rose without a father. But sometime later, we find an older Rose visiting her father's grave, paying her respects, so it seems she's going to be alright, and will likely be the protagonist of whatever the next mainline Resident Evil game will be. Wondering what the subtitle of that one's going to be if they want to have some fun with the number 9. This plot is goofy, weird, and fun, but I don't enjoy it as much as RE7. I think it escalated too quickly between this and the last game. It's like a hard shift. It's like going from Evil Dead to Army of Darkness without doing Evil Dead 2. As a sequel to the previous game, I find it a little weak. On its own, if I think of it like another Resident Evil 4, which was the intent I should stress, you can replace Rose with Ashley and the plot is almost similar, I don't mind the intention of making an over-the-top, campy fright fest that's still not afraid to get unsettling. It has one of the scariest sequences in all of Resident Evil where you have to avoid being devoured by this giant baby fetus thing in pitch black surroundings, you got no weapons either. This shit always makes me nervous even when you know what you're doing. You know, Village is not as scary as RE7, but it's still damn tense for different reasons. It's like a combination of different fantastical horror tropes. You know, if you hated everything about Del Lago in Resident Evil 4, you're gonna hate Moreau. If you're not big on being chased or hounded, the castle area in Lady Demetresque is gonna make your hands sweat. Heisenberg, though, his idea of scary is just throwing a shitload of lichens and metal men at you, and the numbers game can be scary, the thought of being overwhelmed and all that. But especially in the factory area, I'm laughing more than I'm being scared. Even though the Propeller Man is legitimately intimidating, I'm still holding back some smiles as I avoid his bull charging. It's a propeller with legs. And look at his goons, that's Iron Man, Generation 1, and some even have jetpacks.
Oh, they fly now! They fly now? They fly now!
You know what though, I gotta give it to them. The presentation and voice acting is stellar. The only exception, I'm sorry to say, is Neil Newborn as Heisenberg. The character is cool, I love the coat, the shades, the hammer combination, but Newborn's performance, it's hard to put into words. He tries to sound reserved and wants to go ham, but he can't, otherwise he'll wake up the neighbor. And this is a personal thing, but I think he says bitch weird.
Lady, supersized bitch.
He's also canonically played Resident Evil 5, the cheeky bastard. Thanks to a retooled RE engine, this game looks great and it sounds great. On the PS5, it runs at a smooth 60 FPS with no load times. This is the best timeline. And yeah, in a change of pace, I'm actually going back to consoles for this one, playing it on the PS5. The controller feels good to use, and if you're for immersion, the adaptive triggers can simulate pulling the trigger on a specific gun. Small guns taking little effort, with larger guns requiring a little more oomph. I like the idea, but after a bit, I did turn it off because in the heat of the moment, I felt like I was fighting the controller more than I was fighting the Lycan about to bite my head off. The Village of Shadows opening is always a treat to see in action. Though it's a good thing Ethan stopped Mia from reading the rest of the story to the baby, because as you find out at the end credits, this story ends up foreshadowing the whole goddamn game. Mia would have ruined the magic. What is she, like a fucking YouTuber? Ethan, damn, what a turnaround. I have to repeat, I think Todd Soley, Ethan's VA, did a good job in RE7, but the character himself was lacking. They were trying to make Ethan an Ash Williams with none of the charisma. Village fixes all that. Ethan's got witty one-liners that are genuinely funny, and since having a child, he has a lot more emotional expression that makes him one of the most humanizing characters in the series, I'd argue, and one of the more tragic. Not every day where a main Resident Evil protagonist just ends up dying, deliberately giving up everything to save their child and wife. And no, I don't fucking count Steve Burnside. Code Veronica really needs a remake to make me give a damn about that, dude. Well, here's hoping. Village's escalation is likely to turn you away if you enjoyed the isolated, almost paranormal nature of Resident Evil 7. If that's what you really liked about that game, Village is probably gonna leave a bad taste in your mouth. Again, I can enjoy it on its own, despite it being a direct sequel to RE7, but even I have to admit, it could have been a bit better. But as a game, I have to give the edge to Village for reasons very obvious if you've seen my previous Resident Evil videos. We've gone to the murky swamplands of Louisiana to the part of Eastern Europe, probably not too far from the Village in RE4. Resident Evil 8 brings back the first-person view of RE7, once again forcing the players to witness new horrors as Ethan sees them, all in real time too. Though the foundation is largely unchanged as before, you're still guiding Ethan through different parts of the land to rescue his daughter Rose, solving puzzles both elaborate and asinine, collecting items, weapons, tools, and materials to help craft ammo, health packs, and explosives to ensure his survival. A lot of elements from Resident Evil 4 have been brought back, and even some updates from the recent remake remakes of Resident Evil 2 and 3, like a map feature that lets you know when there's still items inside the room, forcing me to pause the game every goddamn 10 seconds to see if I cleared it out. I was really bad at that with this playthrough, I'm sorry, Lewis. Enemies once again drop items, money, and treasure. That money can be used to purchase things from the Duke, the new merchant that's not only a big ball of fun, but also sells Ethan a ton of goods ranging from guns, crafting recipes. He can help upgrade your firepower, cook you meals using animals you hunt down to give yourself permanent stat boosts like more health and faster running speed. And in my opinion, the thing that really sets him apart from the merchant in RE4, he can actually sell you ammunition. I'm not kidding, this makes the Duke a whole lot better in my eyes. I mean, this motherfucker always had bullets on display, but he never sold you any. The Duke does, so you know what? The Duke is now my best friend. The feeling of racking up money to spend on things puts emphasis on exploration like in RE4, scouring every inch of every room for money drops or hidden treasures that can be sold as is, or combined with other treasures to get the big money. It's in this way that Resident Evil 8 consistently rewards the player for playing the game in multiple ways. That's what I really like about Village looking back. I think it reaches a good balance of the reserved nature of classic Resident Evil and the action-oriented take of Resident Evil 4. If you decide to kill everything in sight, you will get your share of money to collect, which you can feasibly get away with on normal difficulties, considering how easy it is to get and make your own ammo for this game. But say if you don't want to fight things, if shooting things isn't really what you want, you can easily just ignore a lot of encounters and still make bank with all the treasures you can find on the walls, or in instances like these minigames where you gotta ball into a hole, gotta kill the time somehow, yeah? You can even earn challenge points by completing certain achievements that can be used to purchase things like hidden weapons or even infinite ammo for weapons you manage to max out in the shop. Nothing rakes in money better than a shotgun that never goes dry. Admittedly, I do have to confess, I did end up using infinite ammo for 2 parts of this game. For one, I forgot I had the option on when I recollected a weapon for the new game file. Infinite ammo unlocks are shared between game files, and in my previous save file, when I first played this game about a year ago, I played a good bit of this game when it came out, so I forgot I did have enough to have infinite ammo unlocked. I left it on a second time because I remember not liking the hunt for the 4th flask. Heisenberg just throws a bunch of lichens at you that with good dexterity, you can run past most of them, but I craved that bloodshed, so I wanted to make sure I had enough ammo for the section, knowing I was going to try and take most of them out. What can I say? I'm a whore for treasure drops. But again, I love that Village gives me the option of how I can approach Lycan encounters. I might be misremembering, but with exception to boss fights, I don't think there's an encounter with regular fodder that you can't just run past or ignore in some fashion. If you stick to your guns and fight, you are given some sweet drops, but you only have so much health to splurge, you know? And some mother of Miranda, you don't want to fight because they're fucking bullet sponges. The dudes with the axes are probably the most infamous example. I don't like bullet sponges, and this is on standard difficulty, and from what I hear, this is every enemy in the game's highest difficulty to Village of Shadows, so yeah, fuck that. But man, I don't have to worry about getting too caught up in that. I just like playing this game. This game's always doing something. I don't mean that in a way that doesn't let the player breathe. I mean, there's always something to do or see or collect in every nook and cranny of this game's world that ensures that I am engaged throughout the whole thing. Some of it feels like busy work I could have done without the animal hunting for cooking being real. And one of the pigs fucking jump scare you and I fell for it, and I guess I hate bacon now. Even though this is like my 4th Resident Evil in the span of a couple of months, despite it this is like the 10th main game I'm reviewing for this channel, I did not grow bored of this or fatigued unless I forgot to check the time of the night again. Honestly, the 2 parts of the game that drag for me are the opening because it's like 20 minutes of railroaded gameplay that you can't skip, and the House of Beneviento. Once you experience the scares the first time, it does lose some of its luster, so in repeated playthroughs, it's more of a matter of, okay, how fast can I solve the puzzle this time? And rather, oh my god! This game's the perfect length for me too when it comes to Resident Evil. My first time took me about 11 hours, but I was able to complete it in about 8 for this review. I don't need my Resident Evil games being Resident Evil 6 long, so I'm glad this and 7 beforehand trimmed the fat big time. Village is pretty straightforward though, like every aspect has been covered in previous reviews, so it's really just a matter of you liking Resident Evil 7 but wished it had more Resident Evil 4 elements. And in that way the game excels, but it's also like once you realize what it's doing, you know exactly what you're in for, so again, it's just a matter of you sitting down and enjoying yourself. This game is still full price. It's not even a year old at the time of this video going up, so that makes sense. And if you were to ask me, considering the amount of exploration and fun you can have experienced in the world of this game, and that you're encouraged to replay the game time and time again to unlock challenges and all that, I think Village is still worth its $60 price tag. And if it's not the main game, there's still like the Mercenaries minigame. I didn't spend too much time on this because I'm trying to value my time between reviews as I get older, but man, this is crazy fun when you start collecting those perks that makes you stronger and gives you high speed and all that other shit. Is this what it feels like to play Doom? I've gotten a lot of requests to cover that series, so if this is what I have to look forward to, then who knows, maybe sometime next year. This is the only thing available in terms of post-game content though. Apparently there is DLC in the works, but I don't know what that entails, and knowing my luck, it'll be announced and released an hour after I post this video, so look forward to that eventual round 2. It's an inevitability, but not something I'm thinking about. With that, our short revisit into the main Resident Evil universe has concluded for now, so it's all spin-offs next time we decide to reconvene for this universe. I guess it's time for the Resident Evil Totem poll from best to worst. List them out here. Again, go easy on me in the comments. Okay, let's see here. Resident Evil 4, obviously, then Resident Evil 2 and its remake, Resident Evil 1 remake, and I guess the original by proxy. Again, go easy on me. Resident Evil 8, then Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 5, then Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, Resident Evil 6, and Resident Evil Code Veronica, and Resident Evil 0, probably bottom of the barrel for me. Hope that makes sense, or maybe it doesn't. I'm just trying to get you guys to click on my previous videos and try and make sense of that totem poll that I just made, all just to drive up viewer engagement and see the numbers really go up. You decide. As always, thank you all for watching. Stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask if you decide to go outside, get vaccinated if it's possible. Have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care.